The thing is, a lot of people think that their creative power, the things that they can do with their art or with their business or how they move people, they think that their sexuality and the energy that comes from intimacy and what they can create with that power and with that energy, like in their creative field, like I said, or that their spiritual energy, like their spiritual development and how much they evolve psycho-spiritually as a soul, as an individual, they think that that's like three different things, three different energies, and it's not. It's one energy, your unique alchemical energy reflected and kind of like manifest as your unique erotic energy. So the principle of Eros is when the first mover moves as the beloved. And that's when God isn't just still ontologically. God moves throughout the universe in creation. So the thing is, the absolute is unchanging. The absolute, ontologically, eternally, doesn't move, is never added to or divided from, is eternally unchanged. But within this space-time existence, how we know the absolute, how we experience that one infiniteness, it moves throughout phases and it evolves. The universe evolves as an expression of reaching closer and closer towards the absolute. And we all evolve with the universe. We are all on that same alchemical path. The universe itself evolves. You know how the universe expands at the speed of light? That's the expansion of consciousness. You know how nature evolves biologically? The evolution of consciousness. You know how we develop psychologically as children and into adults? The evolution of consciousness, baby. It's all the same pattern across different layers of reality. And when you've seen it enough times, like me, you start making frameworks. I have frameworks. I can teach you them. That's not what we're here to do here, but I can teach you them. If you'd like to talk to me for my polymath advisory, you know where to find me. Book a 15-minute consult or book an interior translation session. The thing is, all of these energies, how you evolve spiritually, how you feel called to evolve spiritually, how you feel called to create, how you feel called to intimately desire, these are all, and like intuitively like grow, like whatever. These are all the same erotic principle of moving love towards itself, so that greater wholeness can be experienced with infinitude, so that more infiniteness can be created. Now, it's not really more. We're really just transforming form, right? Think about like an atom. An atom is electrons and protons coming together, neutrons stabilizing, but it's that union of those that makes a greater field, an atom. When a magnet, South Pole, North Pole, come together, two magnets that are already full in their own electromagnetic fields that both have polarity come together, they create a greater electromagnetic field. When two humans come together, and they get nasty. And they do more than just that. But they go beyond and they procreate. That is another human coming into the equation, that from just like two. But it's not like it just poofed out of nowhere. It's that form shifted, consciousness shifted, and form shifted physically as well, so that something else could happen. And that's the thing, like physics teaches us this. Energy can't be created or destroyed, only transferred, only changed. That's not a physical law. I mean, it is reflected in physics, but it's a metaphysical principle of the universe, cosmologically, that reflects the still nature of ontology. Ontology is unmoving, unchanging. And so what the universe is, at its very core, is the same, unchanging. Just like we are, which is infinite intelligence, infinite love, infinite goodness, infinite beauty, infinite truth. And that lives inside all of us as our existence, because that existence is all those things. Like that, that is the ontology of the source. If you've studied enough mystery traditions, religions, philosophies, sciences, if you've practiced this with your own art and your own sexuality and your own spirituality, your own creative practice, your own business, like, I've lived a lot of this shit, like your own like psychology and stuff like that. I've touched a lot of domains in my life, which is why I'm a polymath interior translator. And I've seen the first principles and the first causes in all of them. I didn't know I was collecting all of these facets at the time, you know, throughout the first, you know, like 19, 20 years of my life. I've realized it in the last 2. And I've gone to this level of being able to see across all these domains and to articulate the connections between them and to show that we all come from the same first principles, the same ontological first principles, the same cosmological first principles. And that causes us to all have the same ethical first principles. But there's also unique expression, and this is where rigorous mysticism comes in to articulate this distinction. Because there's also theology that reflects ontology but isn't the absolute. It's how a unique one knows the absolute. There's cosmology, which isn't just transformation like in the universe cosmologically. It isn't just like physics, but it's like metaphysics in the individual, like your unique transformation. And that's what we're talking about right now in terms of like your unique creativity, your unique sexuality, your unique spirituality. That's your unique alchemy. That reflects cosmology. There's also your unique placement, how you actually live in reality. Knowing all those things, how you actually act. Not just how you think about your process of transformation, but how you really live it. All of those things require actually knowing yourself. And that comes with data over time, expression over time. If you'd like my help with understanding your interiority and seeing it and helping you with it, I can help you with that. One-time interior translation consultation, polymath advisory, 90-day intensive, or long-term inner circle retainer. Whatever you're interested in. Like I said, 15-minute polymath consult, and you get off. The thing is, especially in New York City, if you're a New York City liver, if you're a New York City statesman, a New York City executive, if you're a New York City religious leader, you don't just have power over people in a city, in a place. I mean, that's good in general, having power over people, having the ability for your will, not to just like have the potential to become reality, but your will actually does. Not just like for your desire to float around in the cosmos and maybe become reality. No, it does. And for a certain kind of person, that power was made for you. The thing is, you'll start collapsing under it if you're not uniquely placed properly. And we all come to this unique placement through unique self-knowledge, through unique practice and unique expression of watching our own interiority. Now the thing is, you have to observe your interiority yourself. But you can also have a mirror that sees that and articulates it cleanly for you. But especially in a place where power isn't just about power. Power is everything. Because in New York City, power anywhere is power everywhere. And New York City is the highest leveraged city in the world. The place where an actor can take over the world, a place where a spiritual leader can take over the world, a place where a musician can take over the world, a place where a business can take over the world, a place where a political movement can take over the world. Anything can happen in New York City, and everything has happened. And so the thing is, when you have so much power, what comes from that, what flows downstream from you, as all things you create do, as all your decisions do, as your perception does, right? And the thing is, like, everything that you do, your governance, your executive leading, your directing, your execution, your religious leading, whatever it is, all of that comes from your own perception, comes from your own embodiment, from your awareness and your integration. All of those things come from, because that's how creation happens. They all come, like the thing. You know how like you don't have someone else's genetics because you came from your parents? Yeah, same thing. You can't give to something that which you don't have. That's not how creation works. That's also why, by the way, all of us are infinite ontologically, because God is infinite and can only give us infiniteness. Now there's this game of contrast we're playing in the polarized universe where we have this finite expression with an infinite reality, this infinite interiority with this finite exterior. And that fundamental mismatch is what creates divine dissatisfaction, that relentless desire to become, to strive beyond finitude, to be more. Now the thing is, you can never reach the infinite. All you can ever do is grow more. But that's the thing. That's asymptotic alchemy, baby. That's the game we're here to play. And in New York City, you have power in a place unlike any other place. And so what distorts that power, which is often your desire for control in things, and that can be covering things in your sexuality, that can be conflict in your spiritual paradigm, that can be repression of certain parts of your creative process or certain parts of who you are creatively, right? Maybe you love to write and you love to sing, but you haven't because you felt like you're not good enough. And the thing is, I'm not telling you to do those things as a profession. I'm telling you to allow yourself to exist. I'm telling you to let desire move through you how it wants, right? I love to sing and I love to dance and I love to write poetry. None of that's my business, you know what I mean? Because that's not what it's for. But, I also do this articulation thing pretty well. I do this engineering thing pretty well. I do this architecting and advisory thing pretty well. That is my business. You feel what I'm saying? You gotta understand all of your creative self, all of your spiritual self, all of your sexual self, because these are all one principle of reality, helping you transform, helping you take that desire and use the polarity, right? That's what it is. All of these things are just applied cosmology, just polarity under tension. Polarity coming together to create more things, to create greater wholeness. Eros is that polarity coming together, whether that be man and woman, proton and electron, north and south pole. The level of reality doesn't matter. Intention and desire, awareness and existence, like I said, the level of reality doesn't matter. It manifests infinitely. And what we need to do is we need to constantly figure out where we're not expanded and hold more of ourselves, where we've been keeping things in the shadow, where we've been adopting false identities. And this comes in being in dogmatic religious paradigms. This comes from denying our unique sexuality and our shaming ourselves. Personally for me, I'm poly, but I've always felt kind of bad about that. But it's I know that this is who I am, and I have always felt so just I've always felt too big and I've wanted too much, and that happens in all of these facets for me, right? I do a lot of things creatively. I like a lot of sexual experience. I like a lot of intimate experience in general. I desire a lot of paths towards spiritual understanding and spiritual embodiment. That's how it is for me. I'm not going to sit here and name things. That would be annoying. But that's how desire flows through me. Because the thing is, I like to know things very deeply, but I also like to know a lot of things very deeply. I'm a polymath. And so I understand that desire not being separate is probably going to look pretty similar across those domains. And it does. And so if that's you, I can help you with, understanding that and holding more of that. But I really just wanted to bring that awareness to you in terms of these are all the same thing. And the thing is, how you approach one of them in a certain field, it's gonna have patterns of how you approach other things. Do you know what I mean? I have creative practices that I just love having fun with and playing with, but I don't really devote myself too seriously. Just there are women that I would have fun with and play with, but I wouldn't devote to seriously. Just like I love exploring tons of spiritual traditions, but like devotionally, I'm a Christian mystic. I love the Hermetic sciences. I personally prescribe to alchemy by love under coherence under pressure. That's Jaden's thing. You feel what I'm saying? That's how I like to rock. That comes with, touching a lot of domains though. And seeing the science for the alchemy under it, but understanding like my unique path, right? It's like for me, devotion's always the thing. Desire's always the thing. Jesus gets that going in me. I love me some Jesus. I love Jesus's articulation and embodiment of the way of love, so I like to follow his path. That's what works for me. But I also touch all these other paths very deeply. It's the same with even language. Right? I've been learning Latin and Spanish and Greek, and it's been so awesome. Now really I've been taking Latin super seriously. Latin's been my super devotion. And I'm half Puerto Rican, so Spanish kind of has always existed inside of me. I just never really activated it. I studied Spanish in a bit in high school, freshman and sophomore year. I also had Spanish in elementary school. Like I said, I grew up around a little bit of Spanish, my nana here and there. And so I've always had good pronunciation, and I've always kind of had a decent understanding, especially grammatically when I went to high school. And now I've been engaging with Spanish a lot more over the past 3 months, over mainly with songs and poetry and stuff like that, with music. And man, it's the same thing with language. It's man, languages are tools of thought, systems of thought, and systems of expression, just like all of these other things are. And I found that they enact different modes of consciousness and different ways of being that you usually wouldn't just be able to unlock if you didn't step out of your native operating system. We all have a unique way of coming to the absolute. We all have a unique way of transforming. We all have a unique place in the universe. And when we try to be something else because someone has shamed us, or because we've shamed ourselves because the world has told us we can't be this way or shouldn't be this way, it always sucks. And it holds back our process and our ability to transform, because those are all the things that lead to us, having the desire to transform and moving towards that transformation, but we're contracted. And I'll kind of leave you off with this final analogy. It's like, come on, my camera's kind of jacked right now. It's kind of like the aperture in a lens. A camera lens's aperture is how open it is to receiving light. It's the same thing with your eye, right? How open it is, right? That same principle also happens with your nervous system when it's contracted, or when you're in a survival state, Same thing happens with your mind and your awareness. These are all different levels of perception. At the camera, it's just mechanical. At the nervous system, it's physiological. At the eye, it's neurological. At the mind, right, awareness, it's mental. And all of these things all permeate from the one awareness, the one perception, infinite awareness, infinite perception, God's perception. The other thing is, we only have a finite ability to receive that, a finite ability to perceive information, light, right? That's always what we're taking in with our senses, information. Light is information, as are the things that we take in with all our senses. Sounds are information, touch is information, beliefs are information, actions are information, whatever. Feelings are information, all these things, right? All is such useful data, I swear. And when we observe our information enough over time, we're able to start coming to better conclusions, right? Now, if you pay me to observe your information over time for you, I can do it for you, and I can just help give it to you cleanly, Now, I'm not, doing the work for you necessarily, but this is my expertise, right? Instead of you having to learn all the metaphysics personally, you can just have Jaden know it, and he can tell you about it, especially applying it to you. If you're a new study lever, you need to open yourself up more to those parts in your mind that are shaming you about all the things that you love, or all the parts of yourself that you haven't allowed yourself to be, Because I promise you, when you integrate those things, when you shed the bullshit from your world and you like burn it away, I was trying to make an example, but it's like, oh yeah, here it goes. Tiny ass flame. Yeah, burn that bullshit away, baby. Let's get it. When you burn away the falsities, you allow space and openness to allow those things that you deny, your shadows, to come back and be integrated. When you do that, you'll have more of that creative energy, sexual energy, spiritual energy, transformational energy. That's the same thing as like your influential energy, your ability to influence people. That's your creative energy. It's the same thing. You'll have more of that, which is also how you evolve spiritually, psycho-spiritually, in your awareness and towards the infinite, in your capacity to hold love, to give and receive love. And as a result, to be transformed by love and give that transformation back into the world. That was real. Motum amoris. Escalatio, subtensione, coherentia, suppressura. Dai mo, sai.